So a little bit of a different video today than what you've been normally seeing from me. Just wanted to show you kind of a state of the home gym. A lot of people are asking, a lot of people are curious. So I'm just going to show you the home gym setup and hopefully gives you some ideas on what you want to do in your own house. I know especially with the recent times, the home gym is more important than ever. For me, in all the places I've lived, I've always had some kind of training space. This is obviously the best one that I've had for a number of reasons. But even when I lived in a tiny studio apartment, you know, I still had a 2 square meter space of empty flooring so I could do handstands and push-ups and stuff, and I still had a pull-up bar. So even when I was at my most minimalistic, I still had space in my home to train. So again, I can't stress just how important it is to have some kind of a home gym, because what happens when the gyms close, right? What happens when what you've been relying on, you can no longer rely on? I'm not saying to not go to the gym. I know the gyms have had a pretty bad time with all of this quarantine, and you should support them when you're able to go back. But yeah, the home gym setup, it's a really important thing. So I'm going to show you what I have set up right now. Not all of the stuff is mine. A lot of it is my roommates, so we kind of share some of the different stuff. But I'll show you the living room, I'll show you the garage, I'll show you the backyard. So yeah, hopefully you can get some ideas on maybe how to restructure your own house. So first I want to talk about the permanent fixtures, the stuff that is now built into the house. So these are the stall bars. They are from Beyond Balance. This is an older model, so actually the ones that they sell now are better quality. But I think stall bars are, if you can drill them into your wall, you should. They look good, they're super minimalistic, there's a lot of stuff you can do with them. This design has the bars hanging out to the side because I can hang rubber bands on them for different kind of pulling exercises. So that's something that's super useful. We don't need it here because we have rings and different pull-up bars, but you can have attachments like for dip bars on the stall bars. You could have pull-up bars that hang off, you know, like a foot or so. So even if you just have one pair of stall bars, that could be a gym in itself. So highly recommend getting one of these if you can. This is, you know, the old school, every old school gym would have a lot of them. They're making a comeback. Like I said, just the versatility that you have with this, and look at how little space it takes up, so you don't have to remodel anything. And these, you know, it's simple. You just find your studs, you can drill them into the wall, and it's really sturdy. I've had no issues doing any kind of exercises on these. So yeah, definitely stall bars are worth looking into. And then just so you can appreciate this, because I put a lot of work into measuring, see the mats, which I'm going to talk about later. The stall bars were installed before we put the mats in. And so what I did was cut the mats precisely so we can fit the stall bars. So I'm pretty proud of that personally. Okay, next permanent fixture that we have is the rings and the aerial points. So that's what it looks like. They are hooks, try to zoom in, hooks in the ceiling, and then we have the rings coming down, and then we have ropes going to that side. So really important, if you are going to do something like this, do not do it yourself. I hired a professional rigger, Eric Shabira. He did fantastic work. I'll put his company, Mind Over Matter Rigging, in the links below. Basically, you have to figure out if your house structure can support something like that, because these are holes drilled from the attic that are being supported on the rafters on top. So if you have any plans of doing something like that, hanging rings or rope from the ceiling, do not do it yourself. Disclaimer, please hire a professional rigger. It's what they do, and your house may not be able to handle it, so you have to get it assessed first. That being said, the rings probably get the most use of any equipment that we have in the house. They're fantastic to have. Rogue makes 20-foot straps because we have about a 20-foot ceiling, so they can come all the way down. So that's super useful. Super good to have. If you can't fit rings into your house, at the very least, I'll show you later, you can get a doorway pull-up bar for under 30 bucks. I recommend, if you're going super minimalistic but want a space to train, maybe 1.5, 2 square meters of empty floor space and a pull-up bar, something to hang from, and that's already something that you can do a lot with. And if you're wondering how I got the rings up there, well, I had the rope put up first, and we used a broomstick to get it up there, and to get the carabiner up there, and then the second point was attached to get the rings up. and what I did was climb the rope and then hang the rings off of the hooks. So just in case you were wondering, one more disclaimer. Again, if you are going to do something like this is not meant for dynamic load. So any exercises that we do on the rings or the rope that's hanging to something attached from the house, we're not doing any kind of dynamic, any kind of swinging motion. Everything is static and controlled. This is really important. Again, I don't want to go into the rigging and the forces, but basically if I weigh, let's say 170 pounds, 77 kilos, and I hang, that's the force that's on the rings and on the rigging. But if I start doing some swings or some crazy movements, then you're going to have moments where I weigh actually a lot more than that for a moment. And if you're unsure of the rigging, it's going to hold it, of course, but with this kind of setup, I definitely recommend not doing any kind of swinging or dynamic movements. Just stick to anything you can control, solid, strength. So that's my last disclaimer if you're going to hang rings from your living room in a similar manner. And again, I can't stress this enough. This is something you don't do yourself. Hire a professional rigger, please. So when I moved in, there was a chandelier. You can see the plug. So we plugged that up. We got new lights put in. And there was, I think, like a dining room table. I don't know, some kind of furniture in this room. And it's a big room. It's like 16 foot by 20 foot. And I think as a dining room, why? Why would you do that? It's a perfect training room. Quite useless as a dining room. So I'm going to talk about the flooring. Basically, the flooring that's underneath is this tile. What's it called? It starts with a T. Travertine or something like that. Pretty fancy tile. And the mats, I'll put a link below to it, are from Dollamur. They look like this. They're about 1.5 inches thick. And the dimensions of this room are about 16 foot by 20 foot. So something like, 6 or 7 meters by 5 meters, plus or minus. So the mats came in 3 rolls of something like, I guess, 20 foot by 6 feet. So the mats are 6 feet this way and then 20 feet this way. So I had to shorten them slightly for these 2 panels. And then this panel took a lot of work. That was quite difficult because I had to do a lot of measuring to make sure that everything fits, and I had to cut the holes out for the stall bars. I didn't have to, but I wanted to because, I care about quality, and to get this angle, make sure it goes flush. So basically after that, the whole living room is matted, and that's a really cool thing to have. Right, these are martial arts mats, and this company makes, I've been to a lot of different martial arts studios that have mats from this company. I really like them. The thickness is good. They're a really good mix between being, still solid, but soft enough that you can do some jumps, you can do some acrobatics. If you were doing a martial arts and, throws and stuff, they would be able to hold you well. So really good mats. I'm super happy with them. The connection, the Velcro connection also is very smooth, so it's fairly seamless. Yeah, really good mats. I think it's a vinyl covering, so not bad. They actually weren't my first choice. I was actually looking at the tatami panels because I've been to a few gyms that had those and I like that kind of floor. And then when we looked it up, we found out that the panels weigh like 30 pounds each. So in order to ship them, it would have been just a crazy extra shipping cost because it would have been something like a few £100 item to ship. But yeah, really good mat. It's a little bit, so if I'm doing handstands, that's kind of the only thing. It's a little bit soft for handstands. So I'll show you in the laundry room, I have some handstand boards. So if I were to train handstands on this surface, it's not ideal because it's a little bit soft. So that's where a wooden board would basically fix that. Because some mats, some floorings, they're so soft that even with the board, you can feel it move. And this floor is pretty good. With the thickness, it's a really good combination of softness and solidity. So I've been super happy with this floor. If you don't have the same amount of space or you don't want to commit that much, of course, puzzle mats are a much cheaper alternative. I don't like them as much because the connections, sometimes you jam your toes in and you can stub yourself in the connections of the puzzle mats. And and they're a little bit kind of generally cheaper quality, so they still work absolutely for a lot of reasons, but this is nice because you only have these 3 lines of connectors, and the connectors are really smooth, whereas the puzzle mats, and usually if they start to give out, it's at those little puzzle connectors if they start to tear, if they start to wear out. So definitely still useful, but if you have the space, this to me is a much better setup. So if we continue onward in this direction, this was a guest bedroom, which is now a weight room. We have a full Rogue rack, 20 kilo bar, lots of plates, cables and stuff. The flooring underneath, this is not the flooring that came with the house, this is afterwards. So we have this wood laminate, but then we put some rubber mats just in case, so we don't put the weight down on the wood floor. Here we have, these guys are really good, power block dumbbells. They go up to like 90 pounds, so really good there. Some random rings and stuff in the closet. All right, so the rack is not mine. It's a bit big. Generally, I've been trying to consolidate my possessions, at least before I lived here, because I've been moving around a lot since living in Vegas. I've generally tried not owning anything that couldn't fit in my car, and this would have been a little bit big for that, so this is my roommate's rack, but it's good. I've been getting a lot of use out of it. You don't need to go this far with the rack, but Rogue makes pretty good stuff. It's solid, right? It's fairly easy to set up. So just, holding the stuff and then getting the bolts in there. It has 2 pull-up bars, so we can hang pulleys from it. Bar plates. Again, it's up to you, the investment you want to make. But if you enjoy training, then put some time, put some effort in. Equipment like this, it's going to last you the rest of your life, so you can get a lot of use out of it. You don't have to go name brand or anything with the barbell and plates. And I used to have old barbell and plates that I found on Craigslist for super cheap, and I had those for years before I ended up selling them also for a very low price. So it's up to you what you want to do with your space, how you want to train. This is something when I lived alone in smaller apartments that I did not have, because as I mentioned, we're using a whole bedroom for this. But it's nice to have, and it goes along with what I've been saying, is build independence. You go to the gym, you like going to the gym, that's fantastic, continue. But it's good not to get too reliant, so that's why it's good to have a home setup that allows you to train the way you want. So if we continue moving onwards, this is a laundry room, but you'll see some other random stuff here, right? Sledgehammer, homemade club bell, this pull-up bar. This is the Iron Gym. This was the first doorway pull-up bar. I've had it for over 10 years, still usable. Rice bucket, parallettes, bunch of handstand blocks, handstand boards, more parallettes, random massage implements. But this is actually, I wanted to go here into the garage. First you see this beautiful Prius Prime, which is a fantastic car if you enjoy efficiency like I do. But this is where I wanted to get to. So this is the sauna space. So we got a garage sauna. It's, I'll show you that logo here, boom, right there. So get in here, and it's hard to do this with one hand. This is what the sauna looks like. I'm going to turn these guys on. They're infrared light bulbs. So it's a pretty interesting sauna setup. And I have a massage bar here. So it's a pretty interesting sauna setup because it's really small. So this is not the first infrared sauna I had. I had one before that was like a phone booth that you would set up. And what drew me to this was that it's basically like step back a little bit. It's like a fort, right? It's like a tent. So you have wooden poles, and then the outside is made of cotton. So it's super easy to set up and take down, and it's super portable, right? So here's the panel. Right, there we go. So the light is red, so you get some red light benefits. You get some benefits of the infrared as well. So it's a good sauna for a lot of reasons, and I like it, but more so what I like the best about it is the portability. So if I had to move, this actually would fit in my car. once I get everything set up. And the phone booth sauna that I used to have, I couldn't set that up by myself. It would take 2 people because the panels, 2 of the panels were like 7 feet tall and heavy. So this thing I was able to set up by myself. So really cool. It doesn't take up a lot of space. We could still fit 2 cars in this garage with the sauna still there. So that's another good addition that you could have to a home gym for recovery, is to have the sauna. Now, maybe I'll do a review of this whole sauna later. A steam sauna, I think for me, would still be preferable for a number of reasons, but this is nice just for efficiency. It doesn't take a lot of power, and it'll heat up in like 10 minutes, which is nice if mainly I'm the only one using it, so I don't have to waste all of that extra energy heating up the steam sauna and then waiting till it's the right temperature and doing that every day. So yeah, sauna, again, it's a bit more commitment for the home gym, but I'm really happy with the sauna. I'm glad I got it, and I think it's a good recovery tool to have if you can fit one, in your garage or backyard. And then in the backyard, we got the fire pit, got some plants, my little garden thing. Neighbor's cat is in there prowling about in the shadows, stalking something. This is the Air Trick. It's from, let's see, that Air Track factory. Logo somewhere there. If you've never seen this before, or you're not sure what it is, it's not inflated properly right now, so I'll show you some of the stuff I do on it later. It's a big mat filled with air, so it's nice for doing jumps, doing flips. You can crash on it really bad and it doesn't hurt, so it's really good for absorbing impact and building air awareness. This is not a permanent fixture because, due to weather constraints, and we can't have it up all the time because the grass would die. So right now we just put it up after a while. This is not mine, this is my roommate's, but the general plan is to put it up for a couple of days a week and practice some flips, practice some jumps on it. And I have to admit, I wasn't the fan of this kind of flooring for a while, and now that I've spent a little bit of time on it, I think it is really nice to have. It's just, it gives you a little bit of extra boost for your jumps. You don't get much higher on this than you would on floor with good technique, but it's a lot less impact. And especially like when you crash, if I'm doing a move and I land on my side on the floor, man, that's gonna hurt. On this, it's like nothing. So it's really nice for trying moves that you're not sure about. And it's a way, again, like I said, to not be reliant on the gym. I have seen houses with spring floors in their living room. That's a bit too much commitment, I think, for what we have going right now. But having this in the backyard is super, super nice for practicing those flips that you're not confident with. So in conclusion, it's a pretty big house, and basically we have 2 rooms that are completely 100% dedicated to training. So the living room and then the weight room, those are 100% training rooms. Then I have the sauna in the garage, and then the backyard I use for some random stuff. The grass isn't super even, so I wouldn't do acrobatics in the backyard just because it's on a little bit of a slope, but having that air track here is really nice. So that's like kind of a 50-50, and then the sauna in the garage. So we've dedicated a good amount of space in the house to training. And as I said, I'm just showing you because number 1, people are curious, and number 2, maybe it's going to give you some ideas on what you want to do with your space. I'm a really big believer in you don't need to collect tons of furniture. You don't need to hang all these plates in the wall. I like function, I like empty floor space, and I like not being reliant on anybody else to do what I want to do, and that includes training. So yeah, let me know if this gives you some ideas about what you want to do with your home gym. And the inevitable question is, no, I don't own this house. I rent, but my roommate is a friend of mine. He's an old school tricker. I've known him for many years. So he owns the house. I rent from him. We both do a lot of similar training, so we have similar ideas on what furniture we should have and what living rooms should look like in most houses. So yeah, let me know what else you want to see on this channel. I'll make some videos where I talk about specific training tools that I like to use. But otherwise, yeah, just let me know if this gives you some ideas of what you want to do. Let me know what you have in your gym setup, in your home gym setup, and how that looks like, and how that correlates with what you like to train. And then that's the question, right? Is the gyms are all closed for 2 months, 3 months in a lot of countries. So what are you going to do to maintain your gains? What are you going to do to still continue to improve on your physical practice? Does the space that you live in Does it account for that? Does it help you or hinder you to do that? So like I said, because I've done so much traveling, I've been in spaces, houses where I could barely outstretch my arms without hitting walls or furniture or some kind of decorative item. And to me, man, it feels like I'm trapped, right? It's like a prison. I want to have the space. I want to be able to move without the danger of potentially breaking something or knocking something over. So of course, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. It's up to you. I'm just saying that this is something that is a big priority for me no matter where I live. And I know I've repeated myself. Hopefully it gives you some potential ideas on what you might want to do with your space. So let me know what else you want to see on this channel. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.